So the 60s kick off with like the military crisis with the Russians, and where the Russians wanted to place missiles in Cuba. And so Cuba is such a big part, me being from Honduras, Cuba represents a whole lot because they're almost like the ones that kind of stood out to the United States government. So immediately from the 60s, so if you take the 50s are really quiet, but then the 50s roll in and instantly you get this uprise against the US government. Hello, my name is Germain Lemus, and I am an artist here in Orlando, Florida. I've been painting here for, I'd say, about 15 years, and another extra 5 where I was actually studying art here locally. And before that, I was actually in the armed forces. I was stationed in Hawaii as a cannoneer. And yeah, that has been pretty much the last few years of my life where I've been developing the art scene, as well as myself as an artist, as a representative, I guess as an entrepreneur in some ways, and also an activist, if you want to say also another title to myself. I believe that art has so many voices for voiceless beings, whether it be the environment, whether it be oppressed people, whether it be just anybody that is feeling oppressed or feeling even self-anger, could definitely open up those voices that are hidden inside of you. I think the 60s also added a different element, and where you had people expressing themselves in so many different ways. Like I said before, the 60s, military-wise, was a huge scandal with all the things that were going on. Besides the assassinations of political leaders, as well as the civil unrest, that was going on in America, the boycotts in the buses, which was, kind of led to a lot of people just getting creative on how to express that anger without using violence, because that was the thing that as a leader or as a person needed to happen in order for you to use the media so the whole world can actually see what's going down in the South of America, especially with places like Birmingham and Martin Luther King and a lot of those leaders that were gunned down during that time, like Minister Malcolm X, the Kennedys, both of the brothers. A lot of those issues, I think, were mostly covered in the way where people were actually being creative, and they boycotted a lot of those things, including the sittings, the way of using the buses, going across state lines. And a lot of those people, they really got the end of what anger, of hatred, mainly by either government officials that were sitting there during those times that did not want things to change, especially with segregation. And so I believe that the 60s opened up a new wave of rebellion in an artistic way. If you look at all the musicians, all the artists, I mean, there's countless. Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, you name them all. They all had this thing in where people were upset, and they were at the point where they were just done. The Freedom Riders were a group of young people that were still in college, that was in university levels, that said, we'd had enough. And so that led to a lot of people to rebel. And if you look down, the history of the 60s, you see how the government eventually needed to retaliate. And that's when you see, the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and like I said before, with the Kennedy brothers. And then you see the emergence of other rebellious groups, including the Black Panther Party that was established in 1966, and then you have the also the ability to touch on people that were being otherwise marginalized, like gay people. Gay people during that time established their movement, and that helped them out. These are everyday civility issues that we had that was affecting our everyday norm. So I would say, from an artist's perspective, there was so much to take from. There was so much from our political leaders and superpowers that were making these movements, making these I say decisions for the everyday person, and where artists took to the streets. And a lot of the times, what I love about it is that the artists did not necessarily did it for the monetary gain. They did it so that way they can really express what's going on in the political stage, as well as the local stage with the everyday people. If you want to really get a taste of what was going down with artistically with the 60s, definitely come down to City Arts Factory. Check out the amazing art that's going to be here. The show actually is going to be September 18th from 4 to 10, and it will be held, they will hold an opening reception on that particular day, and it will be here till October. So definitely come down and check it out.